it must be honest enough to expose white entitlement and supremacy wherever it raises its head.
That was more Father Michael Pfleger, controversial in his remarks at Senator Obama's church. We continue now with Dick Morris. Look.
Do they give Oscars for pastor?
I'm sorry? I didn't hear what you said.
Do they give Oscars to pastors?
Oscars? Oh, you mean the drama?
To pastors.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but here's the question. Barack Obama says he's still part of the Trinity family. This new pastor, this wonderful young pastor he calls Otis Moss, introduced him and then praised him after he made the remarks, ostensibly insinuating that Hillary is a white supremacist. Now, and by the way, I'm not Hillary's biggest supporter. Hillary's not a white supremacist.
It doesn't say that.
What?
Sean, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that.
No, not in that case, but he did suggest that she was upset that, quote, it was an African-American that got the nomination from her, and she was entitled as a white person.
She's upset that somebody isn't named Clinton. She's upset that it isn't somebody who she's married to.
You're missing the point.
She's upset that 8 years of work went away. And one of the things she's upset about is that a black guy beat her for the nomination.
Wait, hang on one second. But that's not the point. I want for you to focus on Obama. Obama, Reverend Wright. Obama, Bill Ayers. Obama, San Francisco. Michelle Obama's comments. And now we have, here is his new pastor, a wonderful young man, introducing this guy who calls Hillary a white supremacist. And I'm wondering, where do we begin to say Barack Obama, his associations are beyond questionable now?
Sure. Well, I think that what this points to is it goes beyond just the question of association with the pastor. It's a phenomenon that I think is significant. I was talking to a congressman, a Republican, but a moderate, progressive one, and he said that every time he went in his district to a black rally or a black church, he said, you'd be amazed at the rhetoric that goes on there, how racially tinged it is, how fundamentally anti-white it is. And in a sense, white America is now getting a glimpse of what goes on within the black community and passes for socially acceptable rhetoric. Rhetoric that would never be tolerated in the white community.
Are we going to say, Dick, that anybody who's gone to a black church, anybody who sat in those pews, look at all the black churches in America, anybody, and I understand the drama of what Pfleger was doing. I don't agree with what he said, and I think, and he apologized for those comments, thankfully, but anybody who went to those churches should not be able to run for president or should be hit by whatever the pastors in those churches say and blame the candidate?
No, of course not. But on the other hand, if there is a guy running for president who has a 20-year relationship with a guy who baptized his kids, who presided at the wedding ceremony, whose sermon is the basis for his best-selling book that vaulted him into contention, we are entitled to ask how much of that rhetoric
We've asked
is
it,
him
and Obama has not been hurt by it politically. And this is the guy who helped him find Jesus. You're going to renounce the guy who helped you find Jesus.
Alan, hurt by it politically? What do you think Kentucky and West Virginia and Pennsylvania and Ohio and Texas were all about?
And he continues to lead nationally.
They were all about a racial backlash over Reverend Wright.
He continues to lead nationally.
He would have won those states easily.
He continues to be the person who's going to get the nomination. He continues to lead in the electoral votes. So even if you go state by state.
But don't say he hasn't been hurt. Just because he hasn't been killed.
It does not damage his campaign to the extent that his detractors would like, much as they've been hurling all these things at him.
That's fair. But don't say it. That's fair. That's better. But don't say it hasn't hurt him.
Could it have damaged him a little bit? Okay, I'll concede that.
The guy's the walking wounded because of that.
It might have damaged him a little, but not fatally. Why don't we put it that way? I'll concede that point.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
Fatally, we don't know yet.
Let me go back to the issue we talked about. McClellan said today that the president told him that he authorized Libby to leak information, and that was the point that Scott McClellan, says he decided to leave the White House. So he did make that choice once he felt he was not being told the truth by the president.
Okay, but Alan, what is there in this book that is such an important revelation about George Bush?
Well, I think that's actually a very good point, but it's not the liberal media. That's, you know, it's the fact that it's a former spokesperson for the president who defended him saying these things.
But get to the substantive. Valerie Plame, Katrina, Iraq propaganda. Anything else? Am I leaving anything out?
I think it's who's saying it, Dick. It's the fact that it used to be his spokesperson.
No,
Unfortunately, we got to run. We got to run. Thank you.
But come on. Those are not things that you lose an election
When
over.
has a former
There's
press
nothing
secretary
there.
written a book like this? Dick, we got to run. We thank you very much. Coming up, the big map is